All right, it's like 1 in the morning, but I just had to come on here and yap about this. The U.S. just struck Iran, and it's something that I was actually going to go to bed like an hour ago, but it's been something that I haven't been able to sleep ever since the news broke. And so I just want to come on here and yap. The president, Donald Trump, posted a 8-minute video on his Truth Social account, and I'll play a little bit of that for you right here.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
He announced that the U.S. had, quote, major combat operations against Iran. And I guess, I don't know what time it is in Iran, but maybe like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. there right now. And Iranian people reported that there were air raid sirens and multiple explosions all over the city. And the Israeli authorities have since declared a state of emergency. They've closed schools and workplaces and airspace. And I mean, all of this is coming, after a week of tensions between Trump's top officials and Iranian leaders because Trump doesn't want Iran to have a nuclear program. This isn't the first time we've struck Iran. We struck Iran in June, and Trump went on and gave a speech about that. But I honestly can't say that I'm surprised that this happened. I remember earlier, I think it was today, Mike Huckabee, who is the ambassador to Israel, pretty much said if you are an American working at the U.S. Embassy and you want to leave, you should leave today. And so, I mean, obviously he knew about it. He's the ambassador to Israel. From what Trump's speech sounded like, it kind of seems like we might be having boots on the ground in Iran. I mean, Trump quite literally said some Americans will die, and unfortunately, some American lives will be lost. And he said something like it's the unfortunate fact of war or something.
American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future.
Multiple people have already been criticizing this. Thomas Massey posted something on Twitter. He's a pretty big critic of Trump, even as a Republican. But he posted something on I guess we're calling it X now, pretty much saying that Congress needs to step in and be stricter about President Trump. President Trump is not allowed to authorize this strike, according to some people, without congressional approval, and so Thomas Massey is now calling for it. There's also Iranian state television announcing that Iran's armed forces were getting ready to retaliate against Israel, and then a few minutes later, ballistic missiles were launched from Iran at Israel. And this is already the first wave of response, and it hasn't even been an hour. So I guess the way that Trump and Netanyahu are framing this is they're calling this a joint operation against what they're calling, quote, existential threats posed by Iran. Netanyahu's saying that this is giving the Iranian people the opportunity to create the conditions they desire and take destiny into their own hands. I don't know how much of that I believe. It kind of seems like a situation where we are doing this for the interests of Israel, not necessarily for the interests of America. I mean, if you look at Trump's polling right now, it's not doing great. He's not widely popular right now. Not to say that there aren't people who are in his core base and still support him, but people were critical the last time that he bombed Iran. People were not overwhelmingly happy, especially in the way that I think Republicans think people were overwhelmingly happy. And I guess a clear distinction to make between this strike and the strikes in June were that the strikes in June were targeting very deeply buried facilities, nuclear facilities, which are pretty far from civilization and cities. But if you look at the video in Iran, the areas that were primarily striked were high density areas that a lot of people are living in. And they're also striking leadership compounds. And I'm going to play a clip from the address that Trump gave.
We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world. They will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces. I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication.
This definitely reminds me at least a little bit of what the U.S. has been doing in Venezuela and with Greenland. And even today, it's kind of gone under the radar now that this big news is out. But Trump said that he wants to do a quote peaceful takeover of Cuba. And this has kind of been a trend throughout his presidency to have greater control internationally and have more strategic land for military operations or whatever he wants this land for. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to put somebody in charge of Iran that's going to be buddy buddy with him. I mean, Trump's known to be buddy buddy with a lot of foreign leaders. He even got a jet from a Qatari prince, okay? So I just think I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. And I also think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the demonstrations that have been going on in Iran. Back in January, there were a large group of anti-government demonstrators who President Trump vowed to aid in their mission. And according to those in the region and civil rights groups, the Iranian government pretty much slaughtered all of these people while they were protesting. And President Trump has since threatened to attack Iran. So again, he's sending all of these people to Geneva to be discussing nuclear peace deals. Trump says that he doesn't want them to have a nuke. And now there's conflicting reports of, well, now the U.S. is asking them to get rid of legitimately all of their missiles. And so I'm not surprised that they didn't take a deal like this. And I guess taking the Iranian perspective of this, Trump is claiming that he's doing this for the people, but I'm looking at the New York Times right here. There's quotes from people on the ground, actual residents in Tehran, and resident described watching a massive plume of smoke billowing from a nearby street, and he, quote, rushed to school to get my daughter from middle school. The girls were hiding under the stairs and crying. And this is a very traumatic experience, it seems like, for a lot of these people. I mean, their country was just struck. But now Trump is on Truth Social claiming that he's doing this for the Iranian people. So, I mean, I'm not really sure. And, I guess my biggest question, I'm about to go to bed pretty soon. And I'm curious, what will the situation look like in the morning? Like, am I going to be woken up to the news that the government is completely overthrown? I mean, it's 1:30 and there have been an incredible number of developments already. I mean, Iran is already striking Israel and Israeli cities, and citizens of Israel are sheltering in place, and schools have been canceled. I mean, it is the weekend, but schools have been canceled for the foreseeable future. People are urged not to go to work. People are urged not to go to the grocery store. Just stay in place, stay at home. And I'm sure it's the same in Tehran. But I just don't see how a situation like this can just de-escalate itself. And so I'm expecting to wake up to some pretty big developments tomorrow morning.